Hello, Jaunteurs and Awakening Souls. Welcome back to the Jaunteur podcast. Today we're exploring something foundational to emotional wealth, the idea of a toolkit. A toolkit, in its simplest sense, is a collection of resources you return to when something needs attention, repair, or strengthening. Carpenters have toolkits for building. Doctors carry toolkits for healing. We too need toolkits, but instead of hammers or stethoscopes, ours hold practices, reminders, and rituals that help us stay grounded, engaged, and connected to our emotional lives. An emotional wealth toolkit is not about fixing yourself because you are not broken. Instead, it is about having resources at hand that support your ability to return to presence again and again. It is not about perfection. It is about being equipped. In life, we may experience seasons without a toolkit, seasons where we have an underutilized toolkit, and seasons where we have a well-used toolkit. And that is the goal, a well-used toolkit. What happens when we do not have a toolkit at all? Emotional wealth without a toolkit often looks like reactivity or avoidance. We may get swept up in emotions, unable to step back or pause. We may shut down, suppress, or numb instead of engaging. We may rely on external coping mechanisms, overwork, overstimulation, or distraction, instead of listening to what our emotions are trying to tell us. Over time, this can look like burnout, fractured relationships, or even physical illness. Research has shown that chronic suppression of emotions is linked to increased stress responses, higher blood pressure, and weakened immune function. Sometimes we have a toolkit, but we don't use it consistently. Maybe we meditate once a month or only journal when things feel unbearable. Maybe we know grounding practices, but we forget to turn to them until we're already in crisis. When a toolkit is underutilized, emotional wealth looks like inconsistency. Moments of clarity are followed by long stretches of disconnection. We may know what helps us, but we don't make space for it regularly. It is like owning an umbrella, but never carrying it with you, useful only when you happen to remember it. This stage still leaves us vulnerable because the practices haven't yet become second nature. When a toolkit is used appropriately, emotional wealth looks like harmony. Emotions are acknowledged, honored, and integrated rather than avoided. Tools are used consistently, not just in crisis. We develop emotional resilience, the ability to return to balance more quickly after disruption. Science supports this too. Regular mindfulness practice has been shown to decrease amygdala reactivity, or the brain's alarm system, and increase activity in the prefrontal cortex associated with regulation and decision making. Journaling about emotions improves immune function and reduces stress. Breathing techniques lower cortisol and improve heart rate variability. With a well-used toolkit, emotional wealth becomes less about managing emergencies and more about living in ongoing alignment. In the Akashic field, tools are not external add ons, they are soul anchors. They help us remember who we are when emotions threaten to pull us off center. Breath is not just oxygen regulation, it is a bridge between body and spirit. Journaling is not just reflection, it is the soul writing its story through your hand. Grounding in nature is not just calming, it is the soul remembering it belongs to the earth as much as to the stars. The records remind us that every tool is a thread connecting us to Source. The more we weave these threads, the more whole we become. So, what should be included in a toolkit? A basic emotional wealth toolkit might include breath work. This is a practice like box breathing, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. It may include journaling, simple prompts like, what am I feeling right now? Or what wisdom might this emotion carry? It might also hold grounding objects, a stone, a crystal, or any small item that reminds you to pause. It might hold a mantra or affirmation, something as simple as, I honor this feeling and I return it back to love. It may also include a movement practice, stretching, walking, or shaking out your body when energy feels stuck. You can include music or sound, calming frequencies, or a playlist that helps you shift emotional state. Think of these as your starter kit, the essentials you can reach for in everyday life. Beyond the practical, your toolkit also holds a spiritual layer. Because emotional wealth is not just about emotional regulation, it is about soul alignment. This layer might include rituals aligned with lunar cycles like journaling on the new moon. It might include invoking archetypes, mantras, or prayers when you need guidance. Energy practices like Reiki, grounding barefoot in nature, or calling your awareness to Source. These tools remind us that emotions are not random storms. They are currents carrying soul signals. Spiritual tools anchor us in the knowing that we are held, connected, and guided, even when emotions feel overwhelming. A toolkit is not meant to be a one and done. It should evolve with you through your life's phases. For example, maybe someone in early adulthood or career building might want to consider grounding tools for stress, time bound practices like a 5-minute breath work or affirmations you can use between meetings. For parenting or caregiving, consider tools that can be practiced alongside children, maybe shared rituals, calming breath, or even mindful play. For times of grief or transition, consider deeper practices like meditation, ritual release ceremonies, or supportive community circles. You may also want to consider forever tools like gratitude lists, daily presence rituals, and practices of self compassion are forever companions. These tools remind us that emotional wealth is about consistency, not timing. They are threads we can weave into the fabric of daily life again and again across all seasons of our lives. And for the time between life phases, consider a creative expansion or contribution toolkit. for when you're ready to grow, share, or serve beyond yourself. Your toolkit can expand into practices that channel emotional energy into creativity and contribution. This may look like art, writing, or service, or collaborative projects that alchemize emotions into offerings for others. In later seasons of life, the toolkit often shifts toward reflection and integration. Practices like life review journaling, storytelling with loved ones, and rituals of remembrance help weave meaning from the whole of one's journey. These tools create continuity between past, present, and future, turning emotional wealth into legacy. Emotional wealth is not perfection, it is presence. Your toolkit is what helps you return to presence again and again. Without one, emotions overwhelm. With an underutilized toolkit, presence is fleeting. But with a well used toolkit, emotions become teachers, guides, and companions. I invite you to reflect. What is already in my emotional wealth toolkit? What tool do I most need to practice more consistently? What new tool might this phase of life be asking me to add? Start small, build as you grow. Your emotional wealth toolkit is not a checklist, it is a sacred container for your becoming. With love and light, I am Tara.